In today's video, we're going to be running through my team selection ahead of Matchday 5 for UCL Fantasy. Of course, Matchday 4 didn't quite go my way, so this week we are activating the wildcard to tackle those final 4 fixtures and hopefully get ourselves back amongst the big boys. Now, before we dive into today's video, of course, if you do enjoy the Champions League fantasy content, make sure you're hitting that like button and, of course, hitting subscribe as well, as we are trying to hit 15,000 subscribers by the end of the season. It would be absolutely amazing if we could do that, and it is only possible with your guys' amazing support. Sorry for the lack of videos over Matchday 4. I was pretty much dead on my feet, to be honest, pretty much riddled to my bed for most of that game week, and as you can see, my team really suffered as well. The plan originally was to wildcard in Matchday 4 and tackle the further game weeks. That was the original plan we highlighted at the start of the game. However, I was that wiped off my feet, I really didn't have the time to obviously go and plan and put in any sort of preparation, look at players and stuff like that. So in the end, we did just roll. We used our 2 free transfers, and I arguably made the worst 2 free transfers possible. We bought in Gittins and Garassi. We took out Gyökeres and we took out Pulisic. Both of those players obviously delivered. I think Pulisic got himself a goal, and then of course we all know what Gyökeres did away at Manchester City as well. So absolute car crash from me in terms of transfers. As well, as you can see, the team overall was just really lacking anybody kind of taking the scruff by the neck, and that's something that I feel the team has been very fortunate with over the opening 3 match days. We were probably very lucky. We did exceptionally well and we were flying in terms of the rank. However, unfortunately, this bad week has put us down all the way to 36k, but I do believe a strong wildcard coming up can definitely get us back amongst it. So I don't want to focus too much on the negatives. Let's move forward. Let's take a look at some teams I'm going to be targeting on my wildcard, and then of course go through my team selection ahead of Matchday 5. So with the wildcard, I am going to be looking towards these set of teams that you can see on screen right now. For me personally, I believe all the teams that I've highlighted here have the best fixtures all the way up until Matchday 8. And what I've done with a lot of these teams as well is pick teams that need to be picking up results. Now, Liverpool aside, everybody else probably needs a few more points on the board to definitely secure their safety and progression to the latter stages of this competition. And of course, avoid that pesky kind of in-between round that we're going to have in February as well. So Liverpool are the exception, so let's start with them. I think if they go and beat Real Madrid, I'm probably not going to be as keen to look to target them. Yes, they've got some great fixtures with Girona, Lille and PSV to end it. However, I think if they're in a really strong position to obviously progress to that next round, especially if they beat Madrid, 15 points, they're probably going to be safe. They probably only need one more win. They could get that against Girona and then heavily rotate around Matchday 7 and Matchday 8 in January, where there's still plenty of Premier League games going off as well. So that's one where I've not included any Liverpool players on the wild card. However, I do have a plan to get to Mohamed Salah if they are in still need of some points over the next few weeks. In terms of other teams then, I think Barcelona, bar Matchday 6, have a pretty decent run in as well. So we're going to be looking at Rafinha, Lewandowski. Obviously, some of their defenders as well might potentially make the wild card as well. Dortmund, bar again the Matchday 6 clash with Barcelona, have a great set of fixtures as well. They'll, of course, be looking to be building on that strong start they've made to this season's campaign. Arsenal, it's been a mixed bag in terms of the Champions League, but I do believe this last set of 4 fixtures, they can obviously, kind of progress to the latter stages of the competition. Sporting away is going to be a difficult test. However, no, obviously, manager and, a change in guard potentially. I think Arsenal could outdo them there. They look pretty strong. They've got a lot of players back from injury as well, Bukayo Saka being the main candidate there. Celtic are in a really good position to make kind of that knockout-y, I can't remember what it's called, the round of 32 or kind of something like that. I can't quite remember without looking off the top of my head, but bar Villa, and I would say if the Bruges fixture was away, it'd be a lot more difficult, but with it being a home tie, I think Brendan Rodgers will be looking at this and thinking, you know what lads, if we could pick up maybe 2-3 wins here, we could be progressing to the next round of the Champions League, which would be absolutely massive for Scottish football and of course Celtic as well. Arguably the team with the best best fixtures on this list has to be AC Milan in here. As you can see, the next two are absolutely delicious. Girona at home following that as well, and then a great final game as well in Matchday 8. They currently sit outside of the qualifying positions for the next round of the Champions League, so need to be picking up plenty of points. Obviously, they've got some really appetizing players. Again, Atletico Madrid in a very similar position, bar Matchday 7 where they take on Leverkusen, which will be a difficult test. All the rest are pretty decent fixtures. And then the same goes for the last two teams as well. Both PSV and Stuttgart currently sat outside of the qualifying places and need to be picking up points if they do want to keep themselves within this competition. And they've got a great chance with some amazing fixtures on the card. You would argue, arguably, their Matchday 8 ones, if it does come down to that, they're going to be real difficult tests. But at that point, you know, both Liverpool, they could already be through and obviously might heavily rotate. PSG are probably going to be in a similar position where they need to be picking up plenty of points as they haven't accrued that many so far as well and currently lie outside of the qualifying positions. So, again, that game could be a really interesting one come match day 8 or game week 8 or whatever we want to call it these days. So they're the teams I'm going to be looking to target on the wildcard. And I think even if I was on transfers this week as well, I think these are probably some of the teams I would be looking to obviously go and target over the next few weeks. But let me know which teams you're looking at for the final 4 game weeks. And finally, here is my team selection ahead of Matchday 5. Like I said, the wildcard is active, and this is the team that I have selected so far. Of course, if you've got any recommendations, get them in the comments section, and I will be live as well prior to the deadline. So if you've got any questions about your teams as well, get yourself over to that one, as we'll be live for probably about 2.5 hours answering all of your guys' questions, doing team reviews, plenty of good stuff going off. First off, we're going to start off with the Atalanta goalkeeper, and then, of course, the PSV goalkeeper. I imagine the PSV goalkeeper is the one that is going to be obviously kind of staying in the goal or obviously substituting himself on after this week. They've got Shakhtar, Brest, then they've got a decent fixture, then it's Liverpool on the final day, which isn't the greatest. However, the Atalanta goalkeeper does rotate extremely well. He's got young boys this week, then Stats Grum in match day 7 as well. So for a goalkeeper pairing that are costing me around 9 million, I can't really complain at that. Let's move on then. Let's take a look into our back line. First off, we're going to start off with Theo Hernandez. Obviously, AC Milan were one of the teams I highlighted with the fixtures. I said that they were absolutely stupendous, and I do feel with this guy's attacking threat, he could be a very valuable option. Obviously, him and AC haven't been scoring too well in terms of Champions League points so far this season, but like I said, with those fixtures, they are in a really good position to get themselves through to the latter stages of this competition. I feel they should probably be looking to pick up maximum 12 points, 9 at a minimum, with how good those fixtures are as well. Then we've got Gabriel. Arsenal, obviously still quite a good defensive side. I feel they've probably been a little bit unfortunate in terms of their clean sheets within the Premier League. Like I said, I don't think this Sporting game is going to be the easiest on paper. Arsenal have still got a lot of work to do to make sure they do secure themselves qualified for the latter stages of this round as well. And like I said, I just fancy him and like Arsenal to do quite well with the remaining games and the players that they've got coming back from injury as well. Then we've got Lenglet. Obviously, Atletico Madrid are suffering with a few defensive injuries so far this season. However, they've only managed to concede 8 goals over in La Liga. It is just a classic Diego Simeone side. Now, Lenglet is coming in at the moment. Obviously, I'm going to have to wait and see on injury updates and stuff like that, and maybe some team news as well. Again, they were highlighted within the fixtures in the last section as well. A great set of fixtures coming up, and I do really feel confident that Atletico Madrid, a team that always seem to manage to keep clean sheets, whatever happens with Diego Simeone, some great fixtures. So I do feel, again, that one could be a really good route to point. Then our 2 bench defenders. Of course, first we're going to go for Scales, a man who's been picking up points galore, to be honest. Like we highlighted with the fixtures as well, some decent ones coming up. Again, it is probably down to the fact that he has managed to score quite a few goals, but has been very key with his ball recoveries as well. 21 of them so far. And then again, we highlighted the Stuttgart fixtures looking pretty decent in the last section as well. And of course, we're going to go for the Euros favourite. I absolutely adored this man in the Euro game this summer. It is going to be Mittelstadt. He does have a little bit of a soft spot in my heart. We highlighted again, the fixtures are absolutely incredible for him, and of course for Stuttgart as well. Looking at this season so far in the Champions League, 1 clean sheet, 1 assist and 22 ball recoveries. You can't really complain for a side that haven't really been doing too well so far in this season. But like I said, with the positive fixtures coming up, you do feel that they could get themselves back on track. I'm very, very happy with that defence. Let's move on into the midfield. A man that I probably should have brought in many, many weeks ago rather than sticking it out with Yamal. It is going to be Rafinha, currently the top scoring player within the game. 50 points. This guy is absolutely killing the game. Genuinely, absolutely smashing it. The last few games, he's got 13, 21, 16, and then 2 on the opening match day. He's going to be our captain on the 26th. We do have quite a few appealing options, but I do feel the form that Rafinha is in right now, he has to be in there. Next up is going to be Bukayo Saka, a player that I watched this weekend, and I was just like, man, I've got to get this guy into my side. He's so imperative for the creativity and everything that Arsenal do. Again, it's not been the greatest Champions League season for him so far, but like I said, with those decent fixtures on the horizon, Arsenal still yet to confirm their qualification to the latter stages of this competition. Again, I feel could be a decent option. Also, him and Rafinha do give me obviously the flexibility to switch to Mohamed Salah if Liverpool lose that Real Madrid game, to get those decent Liverpool fixtures as well if it's not looking good for either Saka or Rafinha. Next up is going to be Bakayoko. He's currently got himself 5 goal involvements out in the Eredivisie, and like I said, the fixtures coming up for PSV for a team that haven't qualified so far are looking really good. Genuinely really good. He could be one of those differentials that absolutely shoots me up the rankings as well. Currently 1% owned, which is absolutely wild, but I think could be a great little bit of a differential. Next up is going to be Christian Pulisic. He's come back into the side after I took him out last week. A little bit of a mistake. Again, like I said, the fixtures coming up for Milan are stupendous, and he has been pretty much Captain America for them so far in the out in Italy in the Serie A. And again, hopefully with these decent fixtures coming up for the Champions League, can carry them to the latter stages. And then we have Kuhn on the bench, finally finishing off the team. This guy's been an absolute gem for people that went from him from the start. 4.5 million, 28 points acquired so far. Obviously, the big kind of standout was against Leipzig with a 16-pointer, but has been pretty consistent so far out in Scotland as well this season. And like I said, for that price point of 4.5 million, to have him just flip onto the side if we need him, absolutely stupendous, and again allows us to build a really good side. Let's finish up. Let's move on to our forwards. We're keeping Harry Kane because the guy is an absolute joke. Genuinely just keeps scoring every single week in the Bundesliga. His Champions League record so far this season as well has been pretty consistent. Minus the PSG game, there's actually some pretty decent fixtures coming up for Bayern Munich as well. Again, another team that probably need to pick up a few more points along the way just to secure themselves into the latter stages. We are looking at the Shakhtar, the Feyenoord, and then finally the Bratislava on the final day as well, where you feel Harry Kane could knock in a few if Bayern are yet to qualify for the next stages of it. Our second striker is going to be Guirassy. I brought him in last week. He got an assist, not the worst in the world. It's a great fixture for Dortmund. Next week, we might potentially be switching him out, of course, with the more difficult fixture. But if I do want to keep him, the fixtures are still there. He's had a pretty decent season out with Dortmund as well. So I'm, again, not going to complain about that one. And then finally, it is going to be Lewandowski. I do feel like this fixture at home against Brest, you know, Barcelona could go big in that one. The Dortmund one is a little bit of a tricky one to kind of how we're going to decipher it. However, post that, Benfica and Atalanta, it does feel like Lewandowski could still be a decent hold as well. So far in the Champions League this season, 5 goals scored. He's just doing what Lewandowski does best. He finds the goals, gives us as well always a decent captaincy option if we want to go for him. That is currently how my wildcard is lining up. Let me know what you think of it down in the comment section below. Are there any players that I am missing? Let me know in the comment section below. And thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in match day 5.